What is up, my fellow anime gamers and otakus alike? I am the video game guru, and I'm here to talk to you about the state of our particular favorite genre. For those of you that applies to, or for those of you that are just curious about it, what I'm talking about today is the sorry and pathetic state that a lot of our anime games are released in. Now, we have a couple of exceptions. I'm looking at you, Naruto Ninja Storm, as well as Dragon Ball Fighters, some of the shining examples of greatness that we have. A couple of honorable mentions too, but more often than not, we get these subpar, shitty voice synced, the lip syncing looks terrible, either it has missing features, it does the bare bones minimum work. They're just not good, they're not worth it. A lot of them aren't worth the money. A little bit more in this video, I'm going to start going into the details of why, but as a blanket statement, you can look at a video game that is based off of an anime and you'll be able to tell whether it's worth your money or not. The catalyst for this video, I won't lie, was Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I thought it was going to be great. I thought it was going to be that hotness. I thought it was going to be the shit. But it turns out that it was all the opposite and it was just the shit. Like Gregory and Mr. Bubbles shit on King Kai's Planet. It's just insignificant, forgettable shit. Like, what are you doing? You had some of the greatest potential with some of the greatest storytelling with one of the longest running animes out there, and you dropped the ball. Like, that's my thing too. Anime, manga, games is such a big part of Japanese culture that I'm surprised that these games release in these states, especially considering the amount of money that can be gleaned from them. And then they know the way that people over here in the States will rapidly and vapidly eat up that nonsense and garbage. And that's probably why they make subpar materials. But you think they want to go ahead and just get some clout so that way nobody has any questions. You buy it without a shadow of a doubt. The same way with like Call of Duty over here in America. They don't like that stuff over there like that. I mean, they're good at it, but they don't eat that up the same way that we do. We know it's going to be garbage off rip every time. They even tell you that they're going to make you pay extra money, and we still buy it. Anime games, though, I don't get it. You think that they would go ahead and ball out with all that crazy clout that they have over there and bring that over here a little bit. But enough of my tirade. I'm going to go ahead and get into the specifics a little bit more. So sit back and get ready to enjoy me ripping on something that I once again love because it is just not hitting it. Alright, let's go. A lot of anime games that we get nowadays are based off of shonen. In shonen, you can typically expect to see some type of fighting, some type of combat, your protagonists, pushing against the forces of evil, making their mark in the world, doing whatever XYZ typical shonen thing that it is. Regardless, it's going to be steeped in battle of some sort, more often than not all the time. But with that being said, you would think that with all the different power systems, all the unique ways that these manga and anime implement their different ideologies through physical prowess, or if it's just straight up battle and flexing on people, you would think that the mechanics in the games that are based on that will be tight. They'd be finessed, they'd be tweaked to the max, so that way you could really get the experience of that power trip that you have with that shonen character, the rival, or that side character. But what do you get? A lot of the times, you get 3D arena garbage. You get like One Piece Burning Blood. You get the Black Clover game that came out to zero press release. You get the My Hero Academia game that came out pretty bare bones and lame and like only went up to the tournament arc. You get Dragon Ball Z Kakarot that has, a semblance of challenge, but not really. They just have the tightest of the 3D arena combat format with challenge that isn't really there and broken mechanics for the opponents to simulate some type of reward upon victory. Other than that, these things are straightforward and lame with no innovation, or it's so easy that you could literally hand it off to your infant child and have them take the dub. I'm not joking. I did it once myself. With the game that you're seeing on screen right now, I did that. I let my son play the game, and he ended up beating like 3 Frieza Force soldiers by himself while I walked off to make him oatmeal. That's not a good game. That's not a challenge. That's not what I expect out of playing Goku and Vegeta. I mean, yeah, they are the heroes. They are the strongest. But I still expect to have some fun. I shouldn't walk back and be like, oh, look at you, you little cutie. You helped me get past an integral part of this $60 product. To those things that I said were some of the shining gems, the better examples like our Fighter Z's and our, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storms. Fighter Z is our side scroller, arcade style fighter. So the controls are meant to be tight. They're meant to be a little bit more finesse. They're meant to be made for competitiveness. And what a lot of people will say is, well, video game guru, not all of those games are meant to be played on a competitive level. Some people just like to enjoy them. Or, hey, have you ever thought about the fact that not everybody knows every single in and out detail? It's not that deep. Well, if I'm spending money and the lore is that deep and everything else that was associated with that manga and anime, whatever was supposed to be that deep, I want it in the game. I don't want your little petty excuses. It doesn't have to be competitive, but it can be good. That's majority of my gripes with the combat. The arena it's old, it's dated, it's stale, it's not hitting the way it used to anymore. That free-flowing movement was really cool when that was all you had because it was new and there wasn't really much to do with that because you didn't know how to manipulate that. But now with things like destructive environments, we've seen things like battle damaged outfits throughout combat. We have things like stage transitions. I want a game that implements every single bit of that. And since the anime and manga always show that more often than not, I want that to be in my game. I don't want environments that phase right back in that are like perfectly fixed after being completely eradicated by world-shattering events in the combat arena. But enough on combat. Let's move on to the story. Now, my thing with manga and anime based games, when it comes to the story, yes, you're playing something that you have previously seen unless you are getting something that's supposed to be a side story like the Xenoverse series, which is probably somewhere in the middle ground. Definitely not a bad game. But the thing that gets me is, why are they selling these games in chunks when, let's say, My Hero Academia, for example, right now, they are way ahead, super far ahead in the manga. Like, I'm pretty sure they're coming up on their 200th chapter. They've had a lot of stuff happen, a lot of progression. A lot of characters have evolved their quirks. A lot of people have had things happen that have changed the way they interact with the world, might have gotten support abilities. Why is the only game that's out going up to the tournament saga? Who's going to spend money on that? Why would you do that? Why would you make something that only goes partially into your story when you're significantly further? At least give us like a halfway point. That way some people can enjoy the meat and potatoes of everything that has, and then maybe get caught up on the reading and then see the differences between the anime and the manga when you drop your new episodes on whatever streaming service that you're watching respectively. And then by the time they do all of that, they've gotten to absorb, immerse, and let themselves bask in whatever it is that they're watching. Then, oh, look at that. The new game came out. I just now got caught up and they finally released it. Man, talk about good timing and good marketing. No. They blow their load like 3 months after they go ahead and they're like, oh, we got a couple of chapters out, make some money. Like, what the fuck? Come on now. No, I don't want that. I know you're gonna make something that has literally the exact same story in 2 years. And then I'm gonna have to replay it with better mechanics and maybe DLC that had things that the first game didn't. What? No, thank you. I'll pass on that. And then some people say, well, you get to relive it. You get to go ahead and, have your experience and make it something kind of your own. No, you don't. A lot of these games don't go off the beaten path. My example with Xenoverse a little bit earlier, that is one of the better of our anime games in recent generations, specifically because of the fact that they go directly off the beaten path. They take the beaten path and they shoot that bitch in the face. And then they go on an entirely different journey while forging a path. I like that. I like the fact that Xenoverse is essentially one gigantic what-if story. There's so many up-and-coming mangakas out there. There is so many otakus and YouTubers out there that are either writing their own short novels, that are making their own fan-made manga, they're making YouTube channels that have multi-part what-if stories. Why aren't we taking advantage of these? Why aren't these companies reaching out to the source material? Go ahead, let money be your bottom line. Throw them a couple of dollars, throw them some chumps change. I don't care what you do, but go ahead and take advantage of these fresh ideas. Make something out of that. Throw them into your game as side stories. I remember back in the old Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2, there was a board game style approach of doing the story mode where you could branch off and go do your own thing, but the main story, which is what you needed to complete the game, was always there. But it just gave you that little snippet that, you know what? The story could have diverged greatly here. Let's see what happens. Let's take a look. No, not anymore. Again, we have, here is your story, the end. Here is your story, the end. Here is your story, the end. Now, some people will be like, you contradicted yourself. That's all that Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm does. And you haven't said anything about that. You said that was one of your shining examples. Way to contradict yourself and sound like a liar. Well, as you see, I'm talking about multiple aspects. And even though that does follow the story to a T, it does it beautifully. It does it wonderfully. And get the original voice actors from both the English dub, the original Japanese. Cyber Connect 2 did a wonderful job recreating every single major moment. The cinematic moments feel fantastic, and very rarely have QTEs felt rewarding. Have they felt fun? And every so often they just bring their own artistic flair, where it's like they recreate the exact same scene but in a slightly different way, almost like they're just taking the perspective and shifting it to give you something new each time. That's innovation, that's love, that's effort, that's what I want to see. People would say the same thing with some of the Dragon Ball Z games, but aside from Kakarot, they actually haven't done that since before Xenoverse. Dragon Ball FighterZ was an original story, a little basic, but original. Xenoverse 1 and 2, first time it was original, second time they kinda retread their steps, but they had more to work off of, and they made it more interesting, and they kept it current with Dragon Ball Super, giving you a chance to stay caught up and have your character just grow and progress with the rest of the Z fighters. It made sense. They made it to where it was palatable without being tired. I can appreciate that. Thinking outside the box and making me want to do something I've done previously from a new perspective, that I can respect. Giving me the same tired garbage time after time after time and introducing it to me in snippets like I'm too stupid to realize I'm paying full price for a partial product. That's not good. That's not okay. And I don't see why anyone buys it, sentimentality or not. And the final pillar of what makes an anime game good that I feel has been lacking from a lot of projects, and that's the love, the heart. What makes a lot of shonen nowadays, and what's always made them shonen, is the heart of the story. Feeling the protagonist fulfill whatever need it is they have emotionally, whether it be being accepted by their village, being accepted as the Wizard King, being respected as the #1 hero to follow your idol, to just protect your loved ones around you and kill all demons, to become the strongest warrior in the known galaxy, just to challenge yourself and sing yourself to higher heights. I don't get that feeling. Now, I know some people say that, well, you can't really translate that. No, you can translate that. You can tell by the effort you put into the product, by them putting in those small moments, by them adding those things that they've been listening to the fans say when they, send out those fan letters about who was your favorite, or what did you like from this, or you see them actually paying attention to some of the feedback in the YouTube videos and the letters that's sent to them, and all of that. You feel it, it exudes. It's something you can't really quantify. And I know something like feeling passion and love in a video game may be a difficult concept to grasp, but if you appreciate manga and anime and you know where it's coming from, the heart of the story, you know what I'm talking about. You can feel it when you turn the game on, when you watch that intro pop, when you see those cinematics go, when you're going through the world or you're going through the story and there's those little moments that just make you smile, that bring you back to when you read that page, or when you're watching that episode with the homies, or whatever the case may have been. You should feel it. You should genuinely feel the joy of the experience once more, almost like it's all new for you. But me, personally, and what I see is not there. I don't feel the heart. I don't feel the effort. I don't feel that same drive that's driving these characters on the screen. I feel like they did everything they could to mark the check boxes, and then they shipped it off. And then somebody said, well, what about throwing those other things in for the fans? And then the game producers say, oh, it doesn't matter. Make the money. And that's about where it ends. That's what it feels like. It seemed like there was going to be a bit more of a payoff with that, like I was probably going somewhere, and I bet that's exactly what you thought when you bought your last disappointing video game based off of an anime IP. And that's the point I'm trying to make. We need to start not supporting these garbage titles and start showing that we only want to accept quality. We'll only take quality. I'm not going to take your snippet, chunk of the story type of video game and just let you gouge my pockets year after year while you have time skips and hiatuses in between your anime and your manga, and you expect me to stay on board and then buy the no, it's not going down like that. As someone who has loved anime since he was 5 years old, at this point, I can't really see myself buying anymore unless I get 100% guaranteed certainty that it is going to be that fire, that it is going to have me hooked. The fact that I review video games might make it to where I have to make a couple of poor choices, but that's why you're only seeing the small selection right now on screen as I've been talking. It's because I don't have the effort or inclination to buy them. But I gotta stay informed so I can let you guys know what is and isn't worth your time. With that being said, when the next one comes out, we'll see if anything has changed. We'll see if my voice, along with many others, might have reached the ears of some of these producers. But in the meantime and in between time, keep on playing good games, pass the bullshit. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment below letting me know what you think about the state of anime games nowadays. You enjoying them? Not so much, or somewhere in between? But that's all from the Video Game Guru today, signing off.